Because I can take off my COVID mask. I don't need my special COVID mask anymore. The fuck out. Hello. Evening, afternoon. Yeah, good evening. It's still in there? Yeah, it is. Dude, I'm gonna get my hair all fucking knotted in this thing. Watch. Why will you not come out, bro? Okay, yeah. It's fine. Okay, we're good. We're good. We didn't have to tie a knot in our hair. Tis I. Numb lips Paul. Just had a job interview, went well, time for a smoke. Hey, sounds good to me. I have to have Amelia help me put this fucking thing on. She has to hold my hair so I can hook it up. And all it is a stupid little carabiner clip thing. It goes around this other loop around the back of your head. Click, click. But it's not that easy. Voted on a new contract yesterday. UFCW Local 555 making rounds on the PNW Solidarity. Yes, yes, yes. Good to hear. Feels good, doesn't it? No, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. That's a big deal. Especially if you, I mean, obviously the union was satisfied with the contract, so it means, whatever it was you guys were needing, you're getting. And that's always a good thing. Yeah, dude, I'll never forget my dad's local numbers ever, dude. Local number 254. Glass molders, pottery, plastics, allied workers. Dude, if I ever get captured, that's all. I'm just gonna repeat that. You know how they like train soldiers, like if they're ever captured and interrogated, they just say like their name and serial number or whatever. I'll just be like, local number 254, glass molded, pottery, plastic, allied workers. Which labor group does local 555 represent? Anybody know? I have no clue off the top of my head. The copy, and it's legit a good one. I hope it passes. Hopefully so. Paul, it's the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu. Yeah, I was gonna do like a Nosferatu watch party or whatever for one of my Highdeologies, because it's also a movie that's the original print of it and the original release of it and whatever, the original unrestored release is. This is where shit gets crazy, okay? It's in the public domain. Nosferatu is a movie that is in the public domain. But there have been, I believe I looked into it, 5 major separate restorations of Nosferatu that have happened in modern times. And when you take something in the public domain and you clean it up, you add things to it, you change the soundtrack, now you own it. Now you own the restored version of Nosferatu, and you can copyright that. And so what happens is with a lot of these old movies, which is where we got into trouble in the past, just because it's in the public domain, it's like Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead is another movie that's been in the public domain by accident, or kind of by happenstance on the part of George Romero. But nonetheless, there have been a bunch of different restorations, colorizations of it. None of those are in the public domain. And so Nosferatu is actually the biggest trap for people that are trying to use something that's public domain, because there have been there have been so many major restorations of it that your chances of finding an original unrestored cut are almost zero now. A lot of people have taken like chunks of the unrestored cut and put restored parts in it. Not in the public domain. So it's nearly impossible to do. You know what I mean? Even though the movie is not technically the original film that was produced, is not copyrightable. All of the restorations of it are. And so you can, dude, I looked. I went digging trying to find, I actually learned a lot about like how public domain works for movies. Like trying to find a copy of Nosferatu. Spent like a couple hours probably. Just like scouring around and going like, nope, that's a recolorization. Nope, that's got this soundtrack in it that was replaced. Nope, that one's got the extra scenes that were added in the restored version. Nope, that so it's just over and over. You find it listed 20 different places for streaming, but every last one of those is something that's owned by somebody, copyright wise. How big is the difference? Like overwhelmingly glaring or mild differences? I mean, there's noticeable differences. A lot of those old movies, especially movies from the era of Nosferatu, is the very beginning of, you know, movies, the first era of filmmaking. A lot of those are unwatchable in their original context. Like, you can't find an OG version of it because it's so degraded. And so it's relied on these constant restorations to even, like, keep a lot of these older movies alive. And so that's where you get into trouble, because a lot of the preserved versions of these movies that otherwise would have been in the public domain are now represented as restorations, which are owned by the people that did the restoration. Figure that out. Yeah, early 20th century film. I might do an episode on this one day, maybe even a long one, because it's crazy when you look into it. There's so many films that have been completely lost. Like, trying to remember the name of it. There's this movie, they have a bunch of promotional materials that have survived, like a bunch of paper leaflets and stuff, and like advertisements from the time. I can't remember the name of it. It's completely gone. Like, it's just like it never existed. Unless somebody has some kind of secret print of it somewhere, but there's a bunch of these movies.
I think like the OG werewolf movie that was like a female werewolf that was only like 8 minutes, it's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched on Highdeology, or as a thing a while back, we watched what is now currently the earliest example of a werewolf movie. But there was a whole ass movie. I mean, it was a short movie, but whatever. A lot of the movies were short back then. It was like a tech demo. But it was a movie with a werewolf. It was actually a woman that turned into the werewolf. And you got to wonder, like, if the mythology had been really grabbed there, would werewolves be traditionally women? Shadow of the Vampire is a really good film. It's awesome if you like the idea of a film starting off like a really well shot recreation or documentary, and then like whatever, I don't want to ruin it, but like the world of the film that's being made intrudes upon the reality of the film that you're watching. That sort of thing is really neat. And it's got what's his fucking name, guy from The Lighthouse, and old weird looking guy that everybody loves.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe. Thanks. Brain farted on Willem Dafoe's name, but yeah, Willem Dafoe's in it. He plays Count Orlok, which, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome portrayal.
I name fur all the time, man.
Oh, dude, I'm the worst with fucking names, bro. I always feel bad when I first meet a person, because there's a really good chance that I'm not going to remember what your name is next time we talk. It takes a minute for like a name to sink in. I got a lot of names bumping around up in here. I met a lot of people. And we know that the human brain has a limited capacity for that shit.
Like the math, gone.
I don't need that shit. Spent a lot of time learning it, but I don't need it, so bye-bye.
All the stuff you learn on the shows, man. That stuff goes bye-bye too.
Yeah. I am also bad with names. A lot of people are, I think. It's kind of like a disrespectful. It's seen as disrespectful to not remember a person's name, but I don't mean any disrespect by it. It's just I have this weird like, and it only happens to me with names, where like if I see a person, I know their name. This Rolodex thing happens in my head where it's like a name a second, and typically I'll land on it eventually, but sometimes I just can't. Elon Musk had another baby with who? I thought he was divorced. Isn't he divorced from Grimes or whatever? I don't keep up on Elon's love life, so.
I know he's increasing the price of Teslas.
No shock there. Everything's exploding in price.
Now it's gonna be ghost towns in spring break because plane tickets are up too.
Yeah. Plane tickets are up. Train travel is pretty much non-existent. Or so, completely and utterly behind the times that it's relatively non-existent. All this shit, man. All the stuff that they were talking about, like how they needed to do it when I was a kid. All the environmental initiatives that needed to happen right away. All of the fucking, we need to get away from fossil fuel. They were talking this shit. They were talking about building bullet trains back in the 80s. And here we are, the balance of my whole life has gone by, and we've gotten no closer to any of that. Things have actually just gotten worse. We've just been ignoring things for too long. Shit's about to come home to roost, man. This nation long ago should have transferred to a, super, super high-speed rail network of fucking federally maintained trains that run all the fucking time to make sure that people can get from A to B reliably. We got nothing, dude.
Yeah, it's like you can't even Amtrak between major cities without some crazy layovers and some buses and shit.
Yep. The fuck happened to Alias 21 out of 47 minutes completed. His edit is dead. Yes, I've seen your edits, your pictures of your timeline and shit. It's crazy. But yeah, thank you. Keep working. I used to take the Metro North when I lived in New York City. I went on it recently, and it's pretty much dead. Yeah. If you really look at how American cities grow, you see the inherent problem in how we've done things all these years and how we've desperately needed a change since well before I was born. If you look at because there are other cultures that maintain their inner cities rather than constantly building outward from them. We have this we plant down a city and then it starts to get old and run down and seedy. And everybody decides, I don't want to live in this fucking rat shit anymore. But look, right next door in this old little township, 20 miles away, there's this nice house in a nice little neighborhood. I'm going to go live there. And then everybody has that same idea, All of the economic power flees the central part of the city, and it becomes an area where only poor people would even dream of living. Substandard education, because it's all gone to rot. Nobody wants to invest in it because every time they go to it, it looks like something that was built 50 fucking years ago and never updated, which is what it is.
Just gentrifying all these. They used to be call them bedroom communities.
Yep.
Like people would just sleep there, and then they'd go to work in the big city. And
Yep. Sometimes they come back and gentrify shit. Yeah, they do.
it's like you can't even be a podunk town anymore because then everyone wants to move into your podunk town because
There's-
it's cheap. and
There's
then-
hardly any such thing, especially if you're near a major population center. There's hardly any such thing as like a small town anymore. They've long ago fallen, prey to they used to call it back in the 80s white flight. Now they call it a suburban sprawl. But in the 80s it was called white flight for a reason. Well-to-do white people who had economic opportunity decided they didn't want to fucking live in a rundown piece of shithole anymore, and so they moved to these idyllic little communities, but they did the same thing to those communities that they did to the inner city. They built them, and then just stopped maintaining them. All of a sudden, 20 years down the line, everything's run down and gone to shit. But guess what? 20 minutes to the south. Build out, build out, build out. Never reinvest into the shit you're building around, so the core of it just rots and turns to shit.
Yeah, it's like cities barely even have borders between them anymore. Everything's just overlapped on top of each other.
Yep. I've seen that most starkly in the area that I grew up in. Like, I grew up in Madera, California, which was a distinct, tiny little fucking cow town plopped in the middle of some farmland. Mostly tiny agricultural community that I was born into. Not tiny, but it was a small town. That town now has, I think it's quadrupled. It might be tripled in population since I was in my 20s. And now the borders of that town and Fresno, which is the big population center in that area, pretty much disappear. They just run into one another. It's crazy. There's been this like insane population boom in the area that I live.
Well,
Or
everyone
the
from
area that I grew up in.
LA
anyway.
and San Francisco wanted to get out.
Yeah.
I mean,
There are people that own homes in the Central Valley where I grew up that commute every day to the Bay Area is really popular. There are people that work every day in like San Francisco or Oakland, but they live in Fresno or, Merced or some shit. And they drive, it's a 2-hour plus commute if you're flying, if you're really going good. And that doesn't count like traffic once you hit the inner city and shit. So you gotta leave fucking early. A lot of people probably like, if they think about it, if work starts like it does for everybody else at 8:30 in the morning, you gotta be in San Francisco at 8:30 in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to fucking work, car parked, parking paid, traffic negotiated. So you can't just like, all right, well, I gotta leave my house at fucking 8:30, 7:30, 6:30, maybe 6 in the morning. No. You leave your house at 6 in the morning, you hit rush hour by the time you get to Oakland or the Bay Area or wherever you work in that area, and you're stuck in traffic for an hour. So you need to leave at 5 or 4. And then you got to drive that back at the end of the day, too. Holy fuck. I could never do it. I could never commute to work that much. I bet people that did that are sweating it now, too. The gas prices are fucking over the top. You'd have to leave around 4:30 to 5 a.m. Yeah, probably even earlier. I might be underestimating the average time spent in traffic on a rush hour day. If you work downtown or some shit, like a lot of people would like drive to the BART station, but even then, that's what everybody does. They drive to the BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is their little tram, high-speed tram thing that they have. But you got to get to that. Now that's the focal point of all the traffic because everybody's riding the BART in. It sucks. Band-Aid, fixes to the shit.
Yeah, it's like there ain't gonna be nowhere cheap to live left because everyone's just fleeing.
Yep. Paul, would you read Meta Barons if you had the time? I don't know what that is, bro, but thanks for the $3. Can you guys do a DFF on Mel Gibson because of the stupid Passion of the Christ movie? I mean, it would probably be a lot denser than just the Passion of the Christ. Mel Gibson has been like a Hollywood figure for a long time. Done a lot of like acting and a lot of directing and writing. So yeah, that is one thing that he did though. Was that Passion of the Christ thing? But I wouldn't just cover him for that. I don't think he's a very nice person, but I think Mel Gibson has had a pretty interesting career. My favorite Mel Gibson thing that came out of Mel Gibson's career was honestly a movie he wasn't even in. He was just the director of it, Apocalypto, dude. That and his role in Lethal Weapon. Boom. I'm not a huge fan of the old Mad Max movies, to be honest with you, but he was good in those too. The leaked phone call was crazy. See, that's the thing, though. It's like when you become a celebrity, right? The chances of some moment like that in your life where you're acting like a real asshole or a jerk or you're in the throes of like a big fight with a loved one or whatever the fuck, chances are all the nasty shit that you say isn't going to be like of note to anybody. So there's no reason to fucking have it surface later in your life. I just think there's a lot of people that would like cringe even harder at some of their own greatest hits, I always try and keep that in mind when I'm watching these like celebrity meltdowns or whatever, because I've been through enough of them and then had them like recontextualized by time and the paparazzi letting go of it and then the person actually talking about what happened. You know what I mean? I've seen it different, but yeah. Yeah, he had a lot of hard R. Well, like I said, anti-Jew, anti-hard R stuff aside, you know what I mean? Yeah, you may not cringe that hard. You may not have a life filled with that, but yeah. You've probably been pretty mean to somebody in your past. You probably raged out at somebody, said something you didn't mean, or whatever. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. There's verbal abuse is a thing, you know what I mean? And I just think that a lot of people, I don't know, it's very easy to like look down the lens at somebody else when you have the benefit of having something recorded at the worst time in their life, I have a feeling that Mel Gibson is a lot more complex than what people think about him for. And that probably comes with a lot of ugliness. In fact, I know it comes with a lot of ugliness. I've heard it out of his own mouth. But by the same token, I think if you discard the entire person, then what do you learn from Mel Gibson, If you had a chance to interview anyone you wanted, who would that be? David Lynch. Easy answer. Easy answer. I think it would be amazing to sit down with him for any length of time that he had and just pick his brain on not even necessarily his work, just filmmaking in general and storytelling and shit. I mean, I love listening to David Lynch interviews, but I think I would just enjoy talking to him more than anything.
Did you scold him for season 3 of Twin Peaks?
No. No. I would not waste any of my time with David Lynch scolding him over things he's done that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Because he still made Twin Peaks, and he still made Firewalk with Me. You know what I mean? I loved those, so...
He just had a little too much creative freedom.
I guess there's such a thing. But I do feel like he was, and look, there's some great moments in there, but it was just like, man, fucking Twin Peaks The Return is such a slog, bro. It's like he's so intentionally withholding the things that you want from me for so long. It's like, I get it. Lars von Trier hid under the table rather than meeting him, Lynch. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have that level of reverence for any human being. Like, I would be starstruck or whatever with a few people probably, and like, whoa, it's crazy that I just met that person. But I don't think there's any human being on the planet that's alive, at least, that could reduce me to a blubbering mess or whatever, and have me run away and hide. I just don't have that level of reverence for anybody, I guess. You want to put my beard in between a couple slices of bread and eat it? All right. Whenever you say. I tried to watch the David Lynch short film with the monkey.
We couldn't even finish.
I couldn't get through it. It's a short movie too, and I felt like like a cheese grater was being taken to my sensibilities, which I think was the point, but okay, there's only so far you can push me before giving me a little something.
Yeah,
Give me a little something.
There's something about older Lynch that it's almost like
he's just reached a point in his career where he's not constrained creatively at all.
Yeah,
which is great for him and not so great for everybody, I guess, that watch it. There are people that probably love that monkey bit, and they probably love the last season. In fact, I know there are tons of people who revere the last season of Twin Peaks. I'm just not one of them, you know what I mean? I'm not that kind of a fan, I guess. Gattaca sucked. I don't think it did. I think Gattaca's a pretty good movie. But what about that movie sucked? Have you heard the Monkey Puzzle Pine Tree? Nope. Thanks for the $2 though. I like the nonsense posters that hide themselves from being banned for their nonsense with dollars. That's one way to do it. Because if I just read that one and it wasn't a colorful thing with a money thing attached to it,
$0.99 for your thoughts.
Yep. Idiot tax, yeah. Von Trier wasn't starstruck. He said that because of Lynch's support for transcendental meditation, which made him nauseous because I couldn't handle someone that I admired so much going so low. Oh. Whatever. Whatever, Lars.
I mean, meditation's, it's whatever.
It's the TM that people have a problem with because it's like, I don't know, kind of a money racket.
Yeah.
It involves going to a guru and having them tell you a secret word that becomes your mantra and blah, 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 blah. I've looked into it. When I was first learning to do self-guided meditation or whatever, which I don't really do all that much unless I'm laying down to sleep. And even then, it's, kind of part of my routine now. But when I was first learning about it as a mental health benefit, trying to, TM came up over and over and over again. And I knew all these people that were into it. Howard Stern is a big, huge advocate of TM. He's always talking about how it changed his life. He got into it when he was young. It helped him channel a lot of his anxiety, blah, 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 blah. But Howard Stern's a fucking mess, so I don't know if it's I don't know if it's just TM holding him together. Maybe it's part of what's making him a mess. I don't know. I haven't I looked into the basics of TM, and what I found out is you pay an organization. A lot of times they'll try and sell you a retreat where you go to an ashram, you sit with a guru, you learn how to meditate, blah blah blah. It's the ashram experience. Others will just want you to do classes, either online or in person or whatever. And that's what it basically boils down to. They teach you the basics, principles of self-guided meditation, and then they give you some spiritual word that's you can't ever tell anybody. Like if you ask somebody that practices TM what their mantra is, they're not going to tell you. Which I think is a little silly, but maybe it has some kind of significance. Maybe that adds some level of significance, like it's a secret that only you and your yogi know.
What if it's something like pickle?
You just have to say pickle, pickle, pickle to yourself. That'd be a good one, actually. I like the word pickle. I'm not a fan of pickles, but I like pickle as a word. It's a cool word. It's possible that every practitioner of TM has the same.
Yeah.
They've just been selling everybody the same mantra.
Yeah.
It's pretty smart. They don't have to come up with a bunch of different mantras, but
I don't know. They probably have a rotation of like 20 or something.
Who knows?
Like just enough because some people are going to spill the beans.
Yeah. But you'll find a lot of celebrities that are into it, and that's what makes people like raise an eyebrow, because that's a common culty tactic. Target people that are in the public eye, get them talking about Scientology. Oh, I'm sorry, TM. So.
Yeah, and they have the money for all the stupid classes and shit.
A lot of times they don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah, as long as they're
they're ushered into the fucking.
Yeah.
They get past all the turnstiles, and they get the best of everything, and they get the free retreat and the free trip to the ashram and blah blah blah. Their experience is very different from the average person who ends up joining's experience, which is like, even like I'm not trying to make a direct comparison between TM and Scientology. I don't think TM is anywhere near as abusive, but
I think I remember like Lynch wanted to teach homeless people TM or something.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of these outrages, free TM classes to low income people, but a lot of the argument is that it funnels you later. It's like any other thing. Like you get it for free, and then if it works for you, which basic meditation can work for a lot of people, a lot of people think, oh, I can only get it from here, so they pay for the classes. So it's like a recruitment technique. It's the same thing with churches feeding homeless people. It's a good thing, but don't act like there's not like something on the give back. It's not just a desire to do something nice for people. Let's put it that way. If it was, I think the world would be a better place. But then I think humans, as I understand them, wouldn't be humans.
Yeah, humans are very susceptible to wanting like credit and recognition. Like there's, like I think even like in business or whatever, they teach like people want recognition, sometimes even more than a pay raise.
Yeah, and that comes from the fact that we, for most of our existence as a species, lived in very small groups where every member was integral. Every member, you probably didn't even have to be told, because you were just an integral part of it. Now, there's so many of us that when one of us drops dead, yeah, the people that know us know, but we're replaced immediately. There's another person standing there, and whoever recognizes it, and that's just, yeah. I think that's just a byproduct of how we used to live versus how we now live, because that's completely unsustainable to a certain level now. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, a lot of people just want to be told, like, hey, good job on this. It's like, oh. And then there's the hell of working for yourself. You want a pat on the back? Better learn to reach. Ah, good job, Bonziga.
You get to pay yourself, though.
That's true. But
You don't get a surprise paycheck.
do you like futanari? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Futarani. Unless that's some kind of pasta that I'm unaware of. No. Futaroni, dude. Futaronis. Fuda on the brain. Who doesn't? It's the ultimate, isn't it? That's a troll. Futarani, dude. You think so? You think the guy that, like, asked right in the middle of a conversation about something completely different, do you like Futarani? It might have been a troll. Whoa. By Jove, Holmes, I think you're onto something. Yes, I'll take the Futaronis and cheese, please.
It sounds like a bone apple tea kind of thing.
It does. It's like a combo of like a garble and a bone apple tea.
Yeah.
Futaroni. You probably make a lot of money selling Futaroni.
Yeah, do Footaroni's pizza.
Yeah.
Just make them dick-shaped,
Yep.
boob-shaped.
Or just to use have your mascot be a Futa. Just make a
Yeah.
normal pizza, so you can just make normal pizza with the normal stuff, but your mascot is like a hot female presenting chef with a little secret underneath the apron.
Yeah, you could, just make the apron
Have a bulge.
Yeah.
Futaronis.
Dude, $1 million idea.
Another one. See, but you gotta have the $1 million to make the $1 million. So I would have to fucking, create a whole brand. I won't tell if you won't. Everyone's naughty little secret, Futaroni's pizza. I won't tell if you don't. Shh. Wouldn't even have to do it anime style either. You just have an artist make like one of those hot burlesque kind of pinup looking girls, but then underneath the apron there's a bulge.
I don't know, I feel like they should sell hot dogs too, at the very least.
There would probably be a demand for a whole line of franks and sausages,
Yeah.
wursts. I mean, it would just grow. I could see it becoming the next McDonald's, the next Starbucks.
Yep. Baguettes.
Yep. Everybody's little secret. Shh, I won't tell if you don't. Futaroni. Oh my God, this bread is delicious. You must have slaved in the kitchen all day. I did. Shh, I won't tell if you don't. It's Futaroni. What? Fish sticks, yeah, dude. Fish fooderoni. The next Hooters, man. Oh yeah, because then you could have fooderoni like full service
Yeah.
restaurants. Hire the hot femme boys. Fooderoni.
Dude, now it's $1 billion idea.
It just, I mean, it just grabbed. That's the thing with $1 million ideas is that they just continue. They make more. You can do more once you've done the original. Cat boys, that's the thing. Whatever, we got to do whatever the thing is. Then I'll have them. I'll have them twinks dressed up like they're in the fucking Broadway production of Cats, if that's what they want. You know, Fooderoni. We're on the bleeding edge. I think my favorite idea that I never got to do was I've always loved. Have you ever been to a what the fuck is it called? A goddamn restaurant that is also a medieval show where they joust. Medieval Times.
I have not.
So I've been to Medieval Times a couple of times, and it's definitely like a kids focused thing. I think adults have fun there, but it's definitely something that's designed to have kids go to, probably. But it's still a lot of fun. And I thought, like, dude, that idea, like a theme restaurant, where it's like you go back in time, because that's how they do you. They serve you like a little roast quail, and they don't give you anything to eat it with. You're supposed to pick it with your fingers, and they put your Diet Coke in a big mug, you know, and the bar wench comes by with another pitcher and pours it in and asks if you need, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like that. And then in the center of it, it's all built in this big arena. And in the center of it, you have knights doing a show, you know, where they joust and they have fake sword fights and they beat on each other with things. And each area of the audience is divided up into a team. And the team roots for a knight. So if you're in the green section, the green knight is your guy. If you're in the black section, black knight is your guy. If you're in the yellow section, the yellow knight. If you're in the purple section, you're the purple knight, whatever. Dude, if you just stole that idea and did any number of other things with it, you'd just be a fucking instant billionaire. At least pre-COVID. In a world where things are ticking along at a normal rate and not collapsing around us, I think this would have been a bit... Let's just say this. If I would have been able to do this idea when I had it, you guys would be looking at a big money hustler. Big money. But if I had the money to get it done in the first place, I already would have been a big money hustler. There's a problem with this idea. Dolly Parton ripped off Medieval Times and made it a racist Civil War show. Really? At Dollywood, there's like a Civil War Medieval Times? No, I want to do it bigger. See, this is why my idea will never get made, because it would print money, but you would have to have a bunch of money to... You'd have to have like the will to establish it and have a lot of money to back it. Or just get your idea in front of a crazy billionaire that was willing to fucking just fund the whole thing. Which is, that's almost harder than getting the money and doing it yourself. They didn't become billionaires by giving other people $1 billion to make billions of dollars. So. But I just wanted to do like a pirate one. Make a big arena, just like the Colosseum, because you remember, like, if you don't know, they used to flood the Colosseum in Rome, and sail ships around. Like they had a mechanism where they could like flood out the basement or whatever and fill up part of the Colosseum and have ships floating around out there. So don't tell me it can't be done. It can be done. My vision is a fucking pirate spectacular. Room enough for 2 giant boats to duke it out, fire fake cannons at each other, fake explosions with stuntmen flying off the deck. Whole pirate show, right in the middle, and you're treated like a scurvy sea dog at a fucking, grog place or whatever in Barbados. Dude, it would be ridiculous. And that's just one idea. It would cost a lot of money. Oh, I had an idea too that like because at medieval times, if you wanted to give your kid like a special birthday, there's like a birthday package where you book a time, and that kid is allowed to come out on this whatever coronate the night or whatever the fuck they get to be the prince for the day or whatever princess. You could do that, but just sell a spot on the boat that's safe. You know what I mean? You get like the captain's seat. So instead of seeing it from the audience, you're on one of the boats, so you get to see all the swashbuckling from close up. You could sell those for, whatever. I don't know what medieval times charges for that shit, but you could also do like a sci-fi one where when you show up, it's like you're walking into a corridor and the whole idea is like you go through this VR experience, like you're being transported to across the galaxy to a special restaurant. Disney's already kind of doing this now. Disney has this like restaurant experience or whatever, I think in Florida, where it's an insanely expensive restaurant, and it's like instead of windows, it has LEDs, like LED TVs that show like a constantly shifting alien landscape and blah 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 blah. So they're already doing it. They're already stealing it, but it's not as grand as my experience. My experience is like combining a Disney ride with that. So having like or a Disney show with that. Yeah, it looks like you're in space, like hovering over the Earth or whatever. I want like a full ass sci-fi experience where like you're on a ship and you're eating in the, and then like it's invaded by like aliens. And they like all of a sudden you're sitting there eating and the lights go out and then all these red lights come up and it's like emergency containment has been breached, and then some big, like have you guys ever seen like the big giant mech suit kind of things that they make for people to stand around and be transformers? You've probably seen at least a video of this. But they have like a full-size transformer suit that a dude is in. Make a couple of those with some big ass tentacles coming off of it or something, you know what I mean? Have those aliens like slap your meal off the table and replace it with some alien stuff, How cool would that be? Like they come and they eat your waitress or waiter, they drag them away, and now you have like an alien waiter because you've been boarded, dude. You've been taken over. Oh, yes, dude. Tell me that wouldn't be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I looked it up at medieval times.
Yeah.
Guess how much one plate is?
I know it's over $100, right?
No, it's $70.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought the whole package was like $100 a person. Maybe I'm wrong. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
$70 a plate. I mean, you're gonna pay that at a high-end, fancier style restaurant. So it's one of those things. It's like a destination rather than a meal. The food there is not anything to write home to mom about. It's well cooked and stuff, but you're not going there for the food. You're going there to tear flesh from bone and watch knights engage in bloody combat. The trick is to make the food good as the experience. Not if you follow the example of medieval times, like I just said, man. If you could do that, but you're going to be spending a lot of money to do that, man.
Yeah, like restaurants fail if you get a bunch of fancy shit.
You can't get too hoity-toity, especially not with something like this, because you're charging so much for the experience. You can't have too upper crusty of food, because then people are going to be like, what, sending it back, like giving it back to the alien waiter and being like, you got to have some very simple stuff. Everybody knows what they're getting before they go in. There's no menu. You get a chicken. You get Diet Coke or whatever drink you want. You get an appetizer of like roasted potatoes or some shit. Boom, boom, boom. You're done.
Yeah. You want as little fucking friction as possible.
Yeah, I don't want to have some like team of like talented French fucking chefs or whatever working in the basement of my weird alien spaceship. You know what I mean? I'm already going to be spending a mint just on the rent and upkeep and shit of that and staffing costs and shit. I ain't got no.
You want some teenagers flipping some burgers.
Don't make it Applebee's quality. Make it good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's. You're not getting Applebee's food at medieval times. You can't get a whole roast quail or whatever at Applebee's anyway. So they're actually baking birds there. They're making good, honest food there. It's not bad. It's just not good. You know, it's not like anything to write home to mom about. It's probably not the best seasoned thing. It's a little, you know, doesn't defy your expectations in any way, which is what it's designed for. You know, they chose a meal that pretty much everybody will eat. I think there is an option if you don't eat meat or whatever to get like a eggplant or something.
They probably hate you though.
No, I mean, dude, you're paying just as much as everybody else. They probably love you. It's probably cheaper to buy an eggplant than it is a whole quail and roast it.
No, I think they still hate you because it's something different.
Probably. It does complicate their lives a little bit. So, but yeah, but back when I went as a kid, there was no menu at all. You got what you got. You signed up for that shit when you walked in the little castle gates or whatever, you know. Like, this is what we serve. Quail, you got a soup, 3-bean lentil soup or something. You got everybody gets their own little roast quail. Get a drink. People never ate meat in the Middle Ages. Well, that's not exactly true. You're not supposed to be like commoners. You're supposed to be like the lords and ladies of the realm or whatever that have come to watch the great knight combat. And people back in the fucking medieval times, the upper crust did eat meat.
We've evolved as a society to like meat used to be like a once in a while thing.
And now it's like the centerpiece of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used to have to kill your own chicken if you wanted some tendies.
Yep. See, the king got to eat that boar though.
Yeah.
He got to go hunt on his own land, shoot a boar, bring it back, have people expertly prepare and cook it. Lords and ladies of the realm. But yeah, I think you could do a number of really cool experiences. Maybe even design an experience that constantly changes. Mm-hmm. So maybe you have a place that's designed more like a theater, so that it's like you can retrofit it. You do 2 seasons or whatever of the sci-fi experience, and then when that starts to get, lose buzz, you announce that you're shutting down for, 2 months to unveil the new pirate experience. And then you do that, and then it becomes like a FOMO thing too. Because if you don't go to wherever this is during that time, you never got to do it, man. But that would require like ongoing reinvestment, long-term thinking, right? Like you're stacking your chips slowly because you're reinvesting so much of every dollar that comes in there to make sure that the experience remains fresh so that you can keep that profit margin, that slim little margin. That's not how a good business is designed. You want that profit margin to be fat. So that's what it is for medieval times. Even though that's an expensive thing and an expensive place, they can charge a premium for it, and they don't really have to do much to maintain it. You know what I mean? It doesn't change. They don't have to really switch up the experience ever.
Can you imagine how insane it was? What was it? What movie featured it again? I feel like...
Oh, it was it's been featured in a couple of different movies, but it's most, I think, notably featured in Cable Guy, where he takes him out to medieval times and ends up rigging it with the guys down there that they can go fight each other as knights or whatever. There's a big old huge long scene that takes place in medieval times, but
it's about time they get another one, man. It's been a hot minute.
They don't have to, though. See, that's the thing. They're thinking about it as like that type of a businessman that's not looking to make a bunch of money over, like a little bit of money, but over a long period of time, making it a constantly updating business. They're going like, dude, we got like Got to train the knights. We've already got the business. We've already got the place. We've already got the arena. We just got to have somebody come out and rake it, clean up the horse poop afterward. You know what I mean? They've got it. They've got it slick. And if they were to flip the whole script on it, they'd have to redesign the whole outside of it too.
I just mean like sponsoring another movie with it in it would probably revitalize it again.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to do anything in a medieval times anymore. You know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that. My ideas don't infringe on any copyright, but if you got Disney behind it and did like a Jedi experience, like instead of the sci-fi thing, just made it like, you're on a rebel base or whatever, and then the Empire takes it over, and you just do the same gag, have your server get dragged away and replaced by a stormtrooper or whatever, So if you could like put this idea out there in a way that it caught on, and then another big business wanted to come and like partner with that business to provide like the Star Wars experience, the Dune experience, turn the whole pit into a giant sandworm at one point. That'd be so cool. But yeah, you'd need like a movie level design team every time you changed it. And probably like a movie level expense. And the question is, could you make enough profit selling tickets to it in the 8 months that experience was available? I think you could, but maybe only just. What do they spend on a big budget movie with all the sets and shit? Like, how much did Dune cost?
300 million, maybe.
Fuck. Okay, but you got to remember, not everything that goes into a movie has to go into this. Just the sets. The sets. The actors come cheap because you're not featuring anybody.
Yeah. So Dune's budget, it was only 165 million.
Yeah. So I'd say you'd probably every time you wiped out.
I mean, they made Arrival for 50 million.
See, a lot of times when you see a movie like Arrival that have a small budget like that, it's because the people took, like, the actors weren't paid much, or they took a pay cut in order to be in it or whatever. Like, I think Arrival is probably so a lot of that on Dune is salary cap. If you remove all that, how much did it cost to build all those crazy sets for Dune? 165 million total budget. Let's say something like at least 20 million, 30 million of that is probably salary cap for everybody involved. How much of that went to the sets? Probably like 50 mil. So if you built a big giant restaurant like this, you'd have to make enough with your cover charge to cover the rent on that giant building, all of the inspection and code stuff that comes with running a big thing like that, the cost of all the people that work there, the cost of all the people that built it, the cost of all the people that redesigned it. Dude, I bet that represents about, I don't know, how much of that do you think went of Dune's budget was just that? The building, the design, take all the actors out of it, take the camera people out of it, take the film and all the expense that comes with that out of it. What are you left with,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Because I'd say you'd have to spend at least that to do this on the scale that I think people would actually like travel to come and do it. You're talking about creating a destination restaurant, so you're going to want to build it in destination cities, because the idea of somebody flying all the way to Vegas just to eat at your restaurant, but if it's part of that experience, or the centerpiece of it even, and then on Saturday we're going to the Star Wars experience or whatever. I had another great fucking restaurant idea too that would have probably been like a nightmare. Probably would have been a lawsuit nightmare. but I don't know.
I don't know. I think Fooderoni is like the easiest.
Yeah, that one is pretty easy because you're selling a product that is free, I guess. Like it's already established as a brand. People
Yeah.
already like Foodist. And so you're just, but nobody really owns it.
Yeah.
So you can just snatch it and slap it on a pizza joint. Foodaronis, dude. Ugh. Ugh. What, Diddy? What is the tags? Love you. Okay. Come on. What? Take your bow. It's your bow. Anyway, what are we talking about? Space pirate restaurants? Yeah. That's right. Space pirate restaurants. Dude, my best restaurant idea is the best, dude. Grody's. Right? Completely and utterly aimed at kids. Like a total torture factory for adults, but totally made for children to enjoy. And the edifice of the building, the outside of it, is a giant, disgusting head. An ugly looking dude. You have to walk in it. Walk up his tongue or whatever into the mouth. And like the waiting area is in the mouth, you know? Like all the molars or couches. Got this big like tongue in the middle. Or maybe you're like on the tongue. So you can't sit still on the couch. I don't know. I haven't got it all figured out. But you start to get the idea. Then when you go, when you're called back, you go down the throat. You got to go to like a slide or something. And then you're taken away at what like a bunch of different rooms. See, like the thing with Grody's is you got to give people a different experience almost every time they go, or at least 5 or 6 different experiences within the restaurant. So you got like the heart room, where like if you're eating in the heart room, it's like the walls are all pulsing. And you get a different menu for each different sub-restaurant within Grody's. So in the heart room, you've got, like artichoke hearts, heart-shaped pizzas, corn dog hearts, and like, you know what I mean? You following? You starting to see the brilliance of this fucking idea? And then when you're done, you've had enough, when you've got your fill of cheap chicken nuggets or whatever we served you, you get crapped out the end. You go to leave the restaurant, and the only way to exit is through the colon. And then you go down a slide right out of Grody's butt to the parking lot. Thanks for your money. What would your idea for a buffet be? I got one for that too. Working title, The No Bullshit Buffet. So what's the problem with every buffet that you've ever been to? I'll tell you. Since you don't know, I'll tell you. Problem with every buffet that you've ever been to is that you don't want to eat everything there. There's a bunch of crap, and not only do you not want to eat it, a bunch of other people don't want to eat it either. You know what I mean? There's always like 7 or 8 or 10 or even 12 dishes that's just like maybe somebody took 1 spoon of, and you're just like, nah. But the lasagna, though, I'll take some of that because they're bringing out extra pans of that. Why do you got the crap? The No Bullshit Buffet. Everything there is good. Instead of having 1 pan of mac and cheese that we're constantly, dude, we got 3 different styles of mac and cheese. Instead of having 1 type of steak that everybody's lining up to get while everything else just sits there because it's gross, we got 10 different types of steak. Whole buffet with nothing but the good stuff that everybody eats when they go to a buffet. The mac and cheese, the bread pudding, the the lasagna, mashed potatoes. Well, yeah, a whole bar. That's a good idea. Close off. Whole mashed potato bar. It's like build your own mashed potatoes. That's how you do a buffet right. And you got to let people know too. Like you got to have like an ad thing behind it. Yeah, that's fine. Be the just expensive. No, I'm not talking about just expensive. Dude, you really think that the mashed potatoes at a place are expensive? They're probably expensive because they have to buy a lot of potatoes. People are eating a lot of them, but that's what you want. Dude, the stuff I'm talking about, the mac and cheese. You think the mac and cheese is the most expensive thing at a buffet? Hell no. Ten types of steak. Steak is cheap. You buy it like you have somebody there that can cut up the meat. You just get a side of beef or whatever, and you have a whole thing of different steaks. Gravy, got like a whole gravy bar. Gravy's cheap. You know what I mean? You make 10 different types of gravy. You got spicy habanero fire gravy, turkey gravy, brown gravy, country gravy. King crab is expensive. Psst. King crab buffets are for like casinos and stuff. All right, I'm not trying to. I'm talking about having an honest to goodness buffet. With just the good stuff, none of the crap. Mm-hmm. You know what would be really cool? To make a destination type restaurant where the whole idea was that you get to learn to cook. And what you're really doing is just monetizing the labor of your customer back to them. Like you're selling them the right to work in your kitchen and cook their own meal. Gordon Ramsay. The Hell's Kitchen experience, bro. We just get like a nice VR Gordon Ramsay that'll pop up and be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Looks dreadful." That's the stuff. That's the big idea right there. That's a Korean buffet. It's kind of like those sous vide, or not sous vide. The what is that called? The cheese thing, fondue places, where they just basically like bring you the ingredients prepared and set up the cooking method, and then you cook all your stuff. To take that to the next level, put a celebrity chef in it, have them cook like a 5-star meal or something. They're paying for the food, they're providing their own labor, and they're paying for the experience. Oh yeah, dude. I watched a lot of Kitchen Nightmares. Yeah, if you want to increase the price of a food, just add truffle to it, yeah. If you want to charge like $45 for a burger, just say it's made with spicy truffle aioli. And you can now, instead of charging $30 for the plate, now you can charge like $50 for the plate. Say it has truffle aioli. Dude, that's the secret. That's the untold secret of the restaurant industry right there. You want to make the same slop as the next dude, but charge that much more for it. Truffle aioli, dude. Yep. You want to sell like rich people grilled cheese sandwiches? Grilled cheese with a side of tomato bisque spiced with truffle aioli. Oh my God. Well, yeah, that's because Gordon lost sight of what makes a grilled cheese good. He didn't take his own advice. He's always going into restaurants. If you've watched Kitchen Nightmares, Gordon goes into restaurants. He's like, "This is just a mess. There's just so much on this plate. Too many things competing. What happened to good, honest cooking, honest flavors? Yes, none of this fancy, frilly, mini veg and strange designs, powdered sugar on the rim of the plate. Just honest cook." And then he like makes this grilled cheese. It's like made with duck fondue and like a bunch of crap, and puts kimchi on it. Uses some old hard like European wheel cheese that doesn't melt very easy and doesn't even bother melting it. It's just garbage. Like a pretentious grilled cheese. That's not what you sell. You don't sell the steak. You sell the sizzle. Simple, yes. Rustic flavors, yes. Yes. Good Italian cookery, yes. None of this frill, none of this fluff. Take all this crap off the plate. And what have you got? Fuck all. That's what you've got. Fuck all. Damn. Disappointing. Ah, really kind of weird. Textures. Cheese isn't melted. It's got kimchi on it. What have I ordered? It's simple. What happened? If you can fuck up a grilled cheese, you may as well close the door. Right? I ordered a grilled cheese, yes? Grilled cheese. I got this monstrosity. Yeah. Do you want to eat that? No, why not? You served it to me. Kimchi grilled cheese, get out of here. Maybe it's good, like if it's made right. I wouldn't turn my nose up at trying it, but what he cooked did not look good. Cheese wasn't even melted, bro. Didn't even try. Gordon did Gordon. Delicious, fresh, artisan, rustic. Taste the basil, the rosemary, the thyme, yes? Simple, fresh, flavorful. Kim cheese. Anyway, I gotta go. See you guys later. Bye.